So hello. Welcome. My name is Obeng Darko, and today we have a brother, Mr. J. Cameron. I hope my pronunciation is right.
It is, but you can call me Kojo Twim Brema. Kojo Twim.
Kojo Chimberma.
Because you're Kwabena, right?
Yes, Kwabena. Yes.
Is that Tuesday born?
Yes, Tuesday, son.
See, I'm Kojo, so that's Monday born.
That's right, Kojo Chimberma.
I need to change that. Change my name.
Wow. So I will start by asking you, at least, tell us about yourself a bit. And who is Kojo Chimberma?
Sure. First, I want to thank you for inviting me to be on your program. I don't take that lightly because I understand every audience is a valuable audience and has people watching and listening and paying attention to what you're sharing. And so it's an honor for me that you thought enough to invite me to share with your audience and I hope that everything that I'm able to contribute will be beneficial to them. So thank you. My name is I affectionately say my colonized name is J. Cameron, and so I was born in the United States. I was born in Charleston, South Carolina, in the United States. I grew up in Washington, D.C., lived a little bit in Atlanta, Georgia, very familiar with the East Coast of the United States, and grew up like many, let me say, not say most, but many people who are of African descent in America, looking at the continent of Africa in a negative way and normally thinking of it in terms of it being one country. And so that was largely shaped by the educational system and the culture that we grew up in. And then as I got older, I started realizing that based upon these different systems, I wasn't told the entire story. And started my exploration, I would say 3 years ago. It just started really pressing on me that I needed to come to visit the continent, at least put my feet on African soil. That's kind of like what they say, at least you made it to the continent, without realizing that the continent is so diverse and you can find, 10 different ethnic groups within the same region, so different languages, different customs, different people, different clothes, different cuisines. And once I realized how severely ignorant I was about the continent of Africa and the many ethnic groups, it just started this exploration. And so that's probably what you've been following my journey. And my goal now is to bridge the gap between Africa and the African diaspora, wherever, because we've been spread out throughout the world. And so now I'm hoping to inspire people to at least consider exploring one of the many countries on the continent of Africa.
Wow, fantastic. And the honor is always to have you here. We've watched your videos. And just before I told you that my favorite part is when you are interviewing the family you bring, and after they have been here for a day or two, or maybe a week, their impressions. And the other time I was watching a lady who broke down. She wept. I done one of your videos, and that was a touching moment for me. For me, it means you are healing something in them. And if you are not taking that battle or that mantle, a lot of the people you have brought will not have that part as to their lives and the healing, as they say. So thank you. And so we go through a few, because the thing about what we are doing is that a lot of the times when you share, just a word or two, a line, will light something in somebody's spirit. And that's why the conversation, because just as you said, we also grew up with the same, the media, the Hollywood understanding of America. And and even our understanding of other parts of Africa as well, because we could not see the pictures.
So what did they tell you in the media about America? See, I just turned into an interview. I just flipped it around.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a conversation. That's fine. What we saw, okay, part of what we saw were in the movies, where some people will pick guns, airplanes, they shoot nice buildings, or when our cousins and brothers and sisters who live there will come, and the things that they say. Hardly would we hear of bad things. We heard of the prosperity more than any evil. So so it's something that imprinted on almost all of us, that you have to go and see some of these things yourself and possibly live there and become rich. So
is that why they think that, like, when all quote unquote so-called African Americans come, like, we're rich? Is it because of what they see?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. As a matter of fact, it's part of the strategy for people to get livelihood or money.
Oh, yes.
And it's still in existence. And they have done great work. I mean, when we were in school, we traveled somewhere. I mean, I traveled to America. I didn't choose Togo. I didn't choose Benin or let's say Kenya. Almost all of us were trying to look to the West. Why? Because of the information that we had. So it was not a negative information. It was most like, some people call it heaven. So
some people call it heaven.
Yes.
They call America heaven.
Yeah. Until you have other information.
Right. I was going to say it to you. I mean, and not to throw shade at America, because America is diverse as Africa is diverse, because even with the 50 states, you might have similarities between neighboring states, but there are so many subcultures in America. Even in white America, there's subcultures. In Black America is what we call it there, or African American America. You have subcultures and different dialects and different accents and different cuisines. What's happening in Louisiana with the Creole is very different from what's going on in Chicago or Philadelphia with the Philly cheesesteaks. It's just that's how diverse even America is. So I get it.
Yeah. And so it's a big, it's a big brand, and we can't take that for granted. And on the other hand, just as they were branding America to be, that they branded us the other way, extreme. So that brand has also worked on a lot of us. And I think that which has maybe tried to bring some kind of understanding to a certain limit is YouTube, is Facebook, is Instagram. I think we are trying to, maybe 10 years before or 15 years, we could not do this. You needed BBC.
You're right. You're so right, because I think about the influence that YouTube is having, and there are people literally watching my channel from all over the world, from Australia, from Germany, from the UK, from the Congo, from South Africa, of course, Ghana, and Sierra Leone and Nigeria. And as a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to go to Nigeria for the first time. And from Cameroon, people are sending messages. I'm watching from here. Of course, in the US, they're watching. But these different platforms are allowing us to share a more accurate account, or let me say this, a different account or a different perspective, so people can consider. So there's a lot of this content that's being consumed, and it's challenging the thought that we've had. This challenge, every time I watch something that challenges a thought, now I want to go visit these different countries. When I went to Cote d'Ivoire, I would have never thought to go to Abidjan. Never in a million years would I have thought to go to Ivory Coast. It didn't cross my mind. And Togo, I've been to Togo, I've been to Benin. Never would I have thought to go to either one of those countries. Never would I have thought to go to Sierra Leone. Never in a million years would I have thought to do that. And when you get better information, now you can make more informed decisions. And so everybody asks what my favorite country is, and I'll tell you right now, I don't have a favorite country.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks Ghana now but I love Ghana. Ghana knows I love Ghana. You can look at this flooded
Jay,
Ghana.
your hurting my feelings. It's Ghana. It's Ghana.
Well, here's what it is. And this is why I say I don't have a favorite country, because there's something in each country that I've been to that I have literally fallen in love with. There are parts of Sierra Leone, when you're out and you're looking over, you're standing in the mountains, and the view that you get. I mean, it's if you want to compare it to anything, it'd be similar to Aubrey here in Ghana. So but it's everywhere. It's just these endless mountains, and then you look over into the beach, and then the people are so welcoming and so warm and so kind, and that's what I've experienced all throughout West Africa. I have not encountered a culture of people that have been negative or unpleasant. You run into individuals, but that's just people being people. But I have not experienced a culture that has had that as its standard. It's everywhere I've been, it has been where everyone has been welcoming. And that's from West Africa to East Africa to South Africa. I mean, that's everywhere. If there was one country I would say might have been a little questionable, if I'm going to put a question mark on it, would have been Ethiopia. That would have been, but that's it. Even everyone there was very friendly. But if I was going to put a question mark on it, I would say, well, maybe Ethiopia. But outside of that, everyone has been very friendly.
Has been welcoming. Fantastic.
Yes.
Wow. Your YouTube, I got to know you through your YouTube and a lot of your postings on Facebook. What informed the YouTube why did you start your YouTube channel? What informed that? Well,
my YouTube channel is actually very old, and I didn't do anything with it. It was just kind of sitting there. I'm trying to think when I can't even remember when I started, maybe 10 years ago. And it was just sitting there. Didn't do much with it, kind of posted random things. And I decided to, I think once I started getting familiar with Africa, and after I took my first trip to Ghana in November 2018, I said, well, let me just, keep putting content up. And I produced a video called the Ghana Chronicles. And that video, it went viral. And so because of the traction, that's when the channel started growing. And I still didn't pay attention to it. I still was just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, we got a channel. It's nice. Okay, hey, it's cool. And then I started paying attention to it about 3 months ago. Literally 3 months ago when I was in South Africa. And no, when I was in Sierra Leone, and we were talking about YouTube channels, and they were like, yeah, I'll follow you. And then they said, oh, the group, they said, well, we'll follow you on YouTube, and how many followers do you have? And I was kind of like, I'm not really sure. And they were like, wait a minute. And they looked at it, and I was the one who had the most followers, subscribers, I should say, in the group. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize that many people were paying attention to what I'm saying, what I was saying. And it's like it kind of grew from there. So I think I was, and this is a small number in comparison to like some of the YouTubers that are out there, but I think then it was like approaching 5,000. And I was like, wow, okay. So then I took a trip to South Africa. And when I went to South Africa, I said, let me put a little bit more emphasis on this channel and see, if people are really interested. And so from then until now, and that was back at the end of May, the very end of May, we picked up, since then until now, we've picked up 4,000 new subscribers, which is in the world of YouTube, for you to go for, and these are quality subscribers. These are not like, you don't buy them, because you can buy subscribers and you can, but that's just kind of like vanity subscribers. But these people are really engaged. They pay attention. They follow. They are into the content, and it's growing daily. I mean, we're right at 9,000 right now. Yeah. And so we're, obviously I have big goals, and I'm looking at, my big goal is 100,000. That's what I'm looking at. And of course, my big goal is 1 million. But that takes time, to go to cultivate. And so that's what we're working towards. And it's like we're able to see the influence that it's having. I've been in every region I've been in Ghana, someone has recognized me from YouTube, whether it was Accra, Kumasi, Cape Coast, Tamale, or even out in the Western region, someone has come up to me and said, "Hey, I was watching the YouTube," and even in Accra, it's happened 5 times in Accra, 5 times. But I was really surprised when I was in Tamale and someone said, "Hey." I'm like, wait a minute now, I'm in the north now. What's going on in the north here? What's happening? So that's just to kind of put it all into perspective. Yeah.
One of the things I like most about you is your intellectual explanation of history, and even the role of the church in all the mess, and bringing illumination and how you position the mindset of the Africans, the effects of all that happened in the last 500 years, and the mindset of those who were taken away. I would want you to throw light on that, because I've heard you build up very strong arguments. As a matter of fact, and I know you are. If I'm not wrong, I know you are a Christian, and at least I've heard it somewhere.
Oh yeah, people can hear it come out. I'm very well versed in scripture. I've spent more than 20 years in the church system, and what hit me is I heard it in America. You hear about the church in the dungeons, but you really don't understand the impact. And it's led me down a road to start asking questions, because I said, well, what is it in this system why would they use religion? Why would they force baptize people before they placed them on ships in Angola, before they took them to Brazil? What was the purpose of the religious component? It's one thing to just capture somebody and enslave them and beat them and whip them and abuse them, but why impose your religion on them? And so that's when I started walking down this road to say, okay, and of course now you have the differences between Catholicism and Protestant faiths or Protestant practices of the faith. And so when you start walking down that road and you start understanding the Reformation movement and you start understanding, just all of these different things that occurred throughout history, the Crusades, and then how Islam tied into it. And then how, because Islam was pretty much in West Africa as well. I mean, that's why you see in many of the northern regions of different countries, you see where there's a heavy Islamic influence. And of course, in the East, then I discovered about East African slave trade and what was happening there. So at that point, I said, I'm not getting the answers from any of the preachers. That's the bottom line, because in America, I should say, because none of the ones I know even knew the impact of this. And I said, I have to.
It's not only in America, Joe. It's also here. It's either they are intentionally silent or they don't know it.
Either intentionally silent, or they just don't know. And I firmly believe someone who really knows, if they are intentionally silent, then they're doing it for money. I mean, that's just the bottom line, or something else. Some other gratification is coming with it. When I came here, and you've been hearing me talk about this, what was striking to me were all these images of what was supposed to be Jesus in this white form. Now, of course, I'd seen it before because it's in America, but I expected it to be in America because you have all of these white people in America. So in my mind, I'm like,
you didn't expect it to see here.
Oh, when I came here and I saw it, I said, okay, there's something up. Something went wrong. That's when I saw all of these beautiful brown people. And I see not just one image, but like different images. So it's not like the same person. It was like, oh, who's that supposed to be? Oh, that's supposed to be Jesus. But he doesn't look like that. That's supposed to be Jesus over there. And he looks different. And he looks different. And I said, okay, something happened here. And not only did it happen in America, but it's global. And then I went to Brazil. I went to Salvador, Brazil, and saw the same thing. I said, there is something wrong. And so in my mind, I was like, well, what does religion do to people Any religion, it could be anything, any. But in particular, I want to know, what does it do? So when someone has a religious foundation, it shapes their identity, it shapes their behaviors, it shapes everything. And so I started looking at that. I said, now this white image, not only is it here, but it's in America. What has it done to people who have melanin in their skin? It has created an image of who's supposed to be the Son of God or God, and made this white image superior, this white image to be who is their savior. And I remember being a child and seeing the movies, and I would go to sleep thinking, I don't want to go to hell because, and I'm praying to Jesus. In my mind, I'm seeing that image in my mind. And then remember now, this is what makes it very interesting. I spent 20 years in the church world, and I would watch how people would behave. And so I would see this docile behavior. I would see this very, it was almost like, they talk about West Africa having the witchcraft and all of that stuff going on. I said, but I tell them, I said, I've seen some stuff happen in these churches that is straight up witchcraft. I said, I know this is witchcraft because it went against what the scriptures were saying, so I said, y'all are lying, stealing, killing, destroying. I said, the Bible tells you that Satan is the father of lies, but y'all are lying. So who you listening to? So it's when you start breaking the stuff down and you begin to ask more questions. And so that's the journey that I'm on now. I had some really good conversations with some of the guides at Elmina Dungeon, at Cape Coast Dungeon, even at, I think it's called Antonia Dungeon. I don't want to mess in Axum. It's the dungeon in Axum. And so I just asked questions, and I said, well, help me to understand what it is that, how does this all tie together? And I'm gonna tell you something that's real interesting. No preacher. I have not met a preacher, not a Christian preacher, who has been able to explain to me the context of all of that without using the colonizers' language. Meaning but the first thing they do is they say, well, the Bible says, okay, all right. But break this down to me outside of that, because what was life like for the people before that was introduced to them in the colonizer's language? Because a lot of people will say Christianity is the white man's religion. And then you'll have other people come back and say, well, Christianity existed in Africa before the white man came. So I want to see the Christianity before the white man came. I want to see, give me that piece and what that looks like. And I saw a glimpse of it, though. I did see a glimpse of it.
Wow. So when you see the current African, what do you think a lot of these interpretations? Jesus on trotro, white. You go to church, Jesus is there, white. Some statues are white, and everything nice has to be white. What do you think has been the implication on our minds? And do you think the generation, whether our forebears or the current generation, do you think we know the implication on how we think and how we see ourselves today?
The implication, to answer your first question, the implication is the fact that this is it's like subconscious self-dislike. I think hate might be a strong word. For some people, they do hate themselves. But if everything is white is right, then everything, I guess, else is wrong. And so right. Again, we deal with the same thing in America. So this is not, I don't even know if this is African. I think this is just,
it's a global structure.
It's a global thing. But here's what's happening in America. Because we came out of what we knew as chattel slavery in supposedly 1865, and many African countries and Caribbean countries gained their independence, which in turn was just another form of slavery. In the late 1950s, early 1960s, we've had a little bit more time to kind of push back against this. And I believe in the next 50, 60 years, you're going to see the same thing happening, if not at a more rapid pace, because there's so many people now who are waking up and saying, we don't want this false white Jesus image. We can't do it. We don't want it. It's not biblically accurate. It's not geographically accurate. It is not historically accurate. And so and this is why it's good to know the Bible, because now you can be able to quote, if Jesus is supposed to be the way, the truth, and the life, if Jesus represents the truth, then he would certainly not want a false image of him roaming around and floating around and people following a false idol. So that's when coming back to the very Bible that people are holding on to and being able to destroy some of these images and different things that are going on, to say, no, that's not true. That's a lie. And so if you're going to follow Jesus, would Jesus want you to follow
them? Follow that, yes.
Right. So that's how you have to break it down, because sometimes, when that thing, that spell, if you will, is so heavy on people, they think if you talk about that image, they think that you're now talking about Jesus, and it's like, wait a minute,
that's right. That's not Jesus.
Right. It's like, that's not even Jesus.
It's a creation. My understanding actually is because I am a student of history, even though my background is engineering. But a lot of the times, my friend, I remember my friend who is very deep in history and in Kemetic history, in African history, asked me, so why do you still go to church? He's asked me several times. And I said that my little understanding is that this Christianity that has made you ask me this question was some form of a creation for subjugation. Because if I read this Bible, I see love, I see truth, I see honesty, I see equality, I see equity. So if somebody professes to be a Christian, then I will expect these principles from them. Now, if there is a deviation, that for me seems is a creation for that person to dominate me. And that is the side that my friend knows as Christianity. I may be wrong, but if we don't deal with it, then the next generation will say that then let's put everything together and throw them away. Instead of us to say that, no, some people created this and use it to dominate you. So now let's go to the principles of equity, of love, of forgiveness, of compassion, of equality that the Christ represents. Not even because faith is spiritual. That's right. And, they ask me, and sometimes I say this, and then I tell them, but a lot of our heroes were also religious. Luther King was religious. Even Nkrumah at a point was religious. So you can't just say that this was if you're an African, then why do you follow this creation? So it's a battle, and sometimes they may be right in getting us to question some of these things.
How do people respond when I'm the type of person, and that's what I tell people, because and I said this in one of my recent video chats. I said, I'm going to tell the truth no matter what. I was involved in a church where it was a spiritually abusive environment, meaning that the preacher was very controlling and domineering and really had a level of influence over people's minds that was unhealthy. And it took me, I was in it for 6 years, and it probably took me another 10 years to fully rid myself of the effects of those 6 years of my life. So what I tell people is that there's nobody who's going to come and ever have that type of mental influence in my life. So when people are like, no, don't be quiet, don't say anything, I'm like, I'm the wrong one, because I know what the freedom feels like. I know I know what it's like to not have someone have that level of control in my mind to where
how does freedom feel like?
Oh, it feels great, because see, if I were still in that environment, they would be telling me, don't go to Africa, don't travel, you stay here and be under us and make sure that you follow what we say, and we need you. And this is just kind of the mindset of that particular institution. But if that is a part of your culture, meaning, and that's a lot of the culture that we have in America, especially in the Black church, where the preacher is the one who has the final say. You don't question what they say, you do what they say, because by obeying them, you're obeying God, and all types of things. And these would be very toxic, unhealthy situations. And so when someone who is wicked people can read the Bible and see how easily,
It
how
is to
people can
use.
be
That's right.
manipulated. Yeah, they can see if someone is lacking discernment, if someone is not guarding their heart, for it's the wellspring of their life, if someone is not studying their scriptures the way the Bereans did, someone can sense and say, oh, this person is an easy target. And let me come in and tell them this, let me exploit their traumas and preach a message to make them feel good, and make them feel good to the point where they're willing to empty out their bank accounts. They're willing to empty out their lives, their time. They're willing to follow blindly without any question, because that person is able to tap into a psychological deficiency that many people, especially those who are descendants of trauma, face. And so what freedom feels like is that someone can come to me and say whatever they want to say, but I know what it's like to be
Fantastic.
outside of that. And it's like, there's nothing you can say to put me back in it.
Wow.
And so the challenge that many African, quote unquote, Americans deal with is they deal with the religious trauma, as well as the psychological trauma, as well as the financial trauma, as well as the physical trauma. They are descendants of all of those different traumas. Not that other people, not the ones.
Now go over those again. You said 4 things. I want to write them.
All right. They are descendants of physical trauma, psychological trauma, financial trauma, and what was the 4th one? See when I get at the flow, it was religious trauma. There we go. All right. So when it comes to,
don't you see the same here?
I do, but I don't see it on the same level. And the reason why I say it seems as if this is what I admire about so many people that I see in Africa, whereas in America, and I tell them all the time, I say, we're tough. We're tough. Don't get me wrong. And so any of my quote unquote African-American folks out there watching this is no shade on us. But it's like, we need to take mental health days. We have, we can go talk to someone if we're going through something, but what I see on anywhere I've been on the continent, let's say South Africa or something like that, the luxury to be able to go sit down and talk to a counselor and go work out the problems and issues that I don't see the access to that. So I'm seeing people who still have to carry on, although they're dealing with the traumas, because there's no doubt there has to be abuses in the homes.
That's right.
They have systems in some of the different ethnic groups that are very oppressive and very domineering and controlling, and very reminiscent of what I see in a lot of the Black churches in America. So you're dealing with, I see it, but it's again, not that it's minimized in any way. It's just that in America, it's almost like it's almost like we it's, and I don't know if I want to say that, but it's like there's a level of our fight that has been taken away from us. And when I really see it is when I bring people over and I see how they adjust, or the lack thereof. I see how they struggle in this environment, meaning just from, when they come and they're like, oh my goodness, I need my air conditioning, and I need this and I need that. And, I got to, my bed was too hard, or, I just, I got to eat 3 square meals a day and I need snacks. And I'm like, do you understand that many people here might eat once a day, and a lot of people might have to sleep on the floor? Now that's their culture, and it's not that you feel sorry for them, but I see how we would struggle in this environment. We wouldn't last very long because of what happened to us. It's almost like we were traumatized and then we were spoiled at the same time. So it's like you beat a child to the point of abusing them, but then you give them, all these things that they want. So they're kind of confused. And that's what I see in many instances with those of us coming from America here. When it comes to what I see on the continent, and in particular West Africa, and every place I've been in West Africa, I've seen it. The effects of the trauma is where there's a there's a dysfunction we have in America but I think it's a little bit bigger here. In America, we have a dysfunction of trying to cover up our dirty laundry and keep our family secrets and not talking about certain things. And, like Uncle so-and-so will be the family drunk, but we'll never talk about it. And if you do, people are going to look at you funny. But what happens in Africa, in this part of Africa, if you start calling out certain things, they're ready to call everybody on you. No, you don't talk about our stuff in public. You keep that in private. And so I do notice that difference where some of the family issues you definitely don't want to
bring them out.
Yeah, no. You don't want to do that. I've seen, but then you ask yourself, when do the issues ever get resolved? And so that's an effect of the trauma too, because if the issues never get resolved, then you have people carrying around all of this burden on the inside, and culturally you're supposed to stay silent and don't say anything about it, and you don't really get it healed. And then that's when it continues to the next generation. And now, because all of that stuff is going to come out at some point, it comes out in some form, whether it's self-destructive or destructive to someone else. It comes out at some point. And so go ahead. Okay.
Wow. So when you decided to come to Ghana the first time, your friends and family, what did they tell you?
I was told that, and this is actually what my wife told me. I said, "Hey, I'm going to Ghana," and she said, "Okay." She said, "Well, you go ahead, and when you come back, you make sure you leave your luggage in the garage. We're going to fumigate it. And if you don't come back with any diseases or dead," she said, "then I might consider going to Africa." I said, "Okay." Remember, I've been set free. So it's like, hey, hey, all right, it is what it is. All right, cool. It is what it is. So I came over in 2018 and went back and had, obviously had a great time. Went back, my luggage stayed out in the garage for a couple of days. And so I was fine. I was fine with it. But then what happened, she started seeing the change. And then one of her coworkers went on one of my tours and had the time of her life. Then finally, that's when my wife said, and she came in December 2019. So I went in November 2018, and she finally mustered up the courage. She said, "I think I might need to go."
Wow.
And she came, and it changed her life. So much to the point where she's been back. She just left not too long ago. And so she's been back, and she's, had the opportunity to see, and she wanted to go to Cameroon. She's been to South Africa. And so she's had the opportunity to see a part of the world. And now her transformation has happened. And so now because she used to be one of the people who said, "Well, I'm not African, I'm American." That came out of her mouth. And I just kind of looked at her like, okay, this was years ago.
That's right.
I'm not African, I'm American.
Okay.
And I'm like, what is American? What is American? And but outside of that, I really don't care what people have to say. And I think she understood that.
What changes did they find in you?
Say it again.
What changes did she find in you that made her want to say, maybe I would want to go and see? What did they see in you?
My cultural awareness and my resolve and my unwavering resolve that there was nothing that they could do to convince me to go back to the typical African American way of thinking. There was, every time I'd open my mouth, I would talk about something about Africa, something about Ghana, something about where I'd been. And then I went to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and I was in Tanzania, and I was in Ethiopia, and there was nothing they could do. And they saw, this is a transformation that no amount, couldn't shame me into changing, what I saw, because I saw it with my own eyes. And that's what resonated with them. And I think that's what resonates with most people. It's like, well, I don't have an agenda. I'm not an agent for anybody. I'm just showing you what I saw. And then some of the nicest people in the world, I said, I would have been stuck in America, stuck in that system, believing something that was not true about a whole continent full of people because I let someone else tell me how to think. And that was the part for me. I said, all of these years of my life, someone else was telling me how to think and I believed them. And that's what sparked all the exploration. And so now, Nigeria coming to, everybody tells me, don't go to Nigeria. Don't go to Nigeria. I hear a lot of Ghanaians say that too. I hear a lot of Nigerians say, don't go to Nigeria. But guess what? I'm gonna go to Nigeria. I'm gonna go see for myself, and I'm sure I'm gonna meet. Yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna have a great time, and I'm gonna meet people. And I know that the systems. I know Nigeria is. You got different parts of Nigeria. You got different Nigerian situations, just like you do in America, just like you do in South Africa, just like you do in Ghana. But what I've learned is that if I can go and share with people another perspective, then it helps them to think, just think for a second, what happened here? That's the thing. What happened here? Why is this like this? What happened here? Why do the people behave like this? Why do they have us looking at each other with suspicion at every turn? Why do we do that? Why are Black people in America the only ones? Because you never hear Europeans in America say, oh no, be careful going back to London. Be careful going back to Paris. Be careful going back to Berlin. You never hear that. You never hear it. But you always hear so-called African Americans, why are you going back to Africa? Why are you going to Africa?
That was a program, isn't it? Somebody told us, and we have transferred from one generation to the other. It's the same with Nigeria. They say that 1 out of every 4 or 5 African is a Nigerian. Now, if Nigeria were to be, if you were to be positive and optimistic about Nigeria, that will transform the whole of Africa. So you can see structurally, somebody must attack Nigeria. You know, Nigeria has to be attacked. And the Nigerians themselves, Africans themselves, those of us in Ghana, those of us everywhere, say, Nigeria is this, don't go there. Meanwhile, that's where the wealth is. But they're preventing all of us from going there.
I had that conversation today. I was telling someone about Nigeria, and I said, Nigeria is the wealthiest African country. It is the most populous African country. I said, something must be there. I said, because the reputation is so bad. I said, I've never heard anyone other than those who are proud Nigerians say Nigeria is the place you want to be. It's always been a scam. Somebody says it's a scam out of Nigeria, something out of Nigeria, it's bad, I mean, and there are things happening in Nigeria. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that things aren't happening, but there has to be. There's no way in the world Marriott is going to put 5 or 6 Marriott hotels in Lagos if it's that bad.
Thank you.
I don't know. I don't know if Hilton's there. I just know I know Americans, and so I know. I know white Americans. I know their mindset or whoever runs it. They're not going to put millions upon millions upon millions of dollars.
There's nothing there. That's right. So it's a program. They're telling us not to go. And we also, and so that we continue to deal with, to have little. So Jay, my next question, if it's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, I have another question for you.
Sure.
And, yes, and I'm thinking of it. So the tours that you organize.
Yes.
Tell us about them, and why did you have to do that?
Well, one of the things that I needed to do was because I grew up in America. I represent Washington, D.C., and I represent Charleston, South Carolina, 2 totally different worlds, 2 totally different mindsets. But I recognize that if I don't go back and invite people to learn and see what I've seen for themselves, then I would be selfish. And this is not just for Black folks, it's for white folks, anybody who wants to come and learn and see, because white folks were just as miseducated as we were.
True.
They were in the same schools, in the same. Oh, we need to go help the poor Africans because
Mm-hmm.
just the poor Africans need us to come
Mm-hmm.
save them with our white Jesus and
Mm-hmm.
and all of these things we need to take to them, and we need to give them money and shoes and clothes and let's go get them. And
Mm-hmm.
once they understand, it's like, no, your folks, your great grandmother and father and everything were the ones stealing and raiding and
And
looting
they're still
and
stealing. They're still stealing.
still doing it to this day. Yo, folks. And I mean, black folks doing it too. Don't get me wrong. We
Yeah.
got Africans
Mm.
in cahoots with some of this stuff too. So,
Mm.
so it's like you say to yourself, you all learn the same stuff we learned. So let's go back and understand this properly from a contextual standpoint. And if you want to be a part of the solution, begin to share some of the equity that you benefit from on the
Mm-hmm.
backs
Mm.
of those who were stolen from and those who are still being stolen from. So I want people to come and see how people are not getting paid what they need to get paid for the cocoa that we enjoy our chocolate with. They call it Belgian chocolate, but it's really Ivory Coast, Cote
Mm.
d'Ivoire chocolate or Ghanaian chocolate or Ugandan chocolate. That's really the origins of it. And I was driving by a cocoa farm the other day and I saw the people who were out there actually farming the cocoa. And I said, these people are making not even pennies on the day.
Mm.
I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm saying and it was so much cocoa. I've never seen so many cocoa beans in my life. I just kind of stopped. I was like, wow. I said,
Which
now
part of
this is
that? Which part of Ghana was that? Was it Ghana or
it was Ghana. It was actually, this is the beautiful part. It was on the border of Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire.
Whoa! So this is in Grand Quanta or
it was in Zoo. It's right on the border. Right.
in Zima?
I don't know.
Zima area.
Say it again.
Where was that in Zima area?
Yeah, I believe so. And it's right at the border crossing. It was right there, whatever town that is, right on the border crossing.
Mm.
And I just looked and I said, look, I'm gonna show it on a video I have coming up where it's just cocoa. I was like, and I know the people are not getting paid. I mean, I can see they're not getting paid. Now everybody's culture is different. So maybe they're getting paid enough for their particular lifestyle and what they, how they want to
but
live.
They still get more.
Oh, they can get a whole lot more. And then I challenge people in America. I said, well, would you be willing to pay $5 for a chocolate bar? Because that's what you would pay if you paid the people what their worth and their labor and their skill. I said, are you willing to pay $5 for a Hershey's chocolate bar? And of course, everybody's like, well, no, I'm not. So we're also, and I tell people all the time, I said, we benefit from slavery too. Quiet is kept. We benefit from the exploitations of these different countries because the copper that comes from different parts of Africa, the gold that comes from all over the different, the platinum or whatever it is they put in the cell phones. If we pay the people what they're supposed to be paid, then everything goes up in price. And then that's when people have to really reconcile within themselves. Are they willing to take that increase? And I've yet to hear someone genuinely say, yes, I'd be willing to take the increase. And so what I do is I try to share the equity by bringing people. That's why you'll see videos of mine where I bring people over and take them to people to spend the money. Spend the money with them. Spend your money, that money you're going to waste on cable and $400 athletic shoes and fast food and all of these different things you're going to waste in America. Bring those resources over here and put it in the hands of the people who are making it. And that's how, one, you don't have to lose your quality of life because that's what people are afraid of. But then now you're improving their quality of life. And if we can learn how to do that, it wouldn't take much for us to be able to invest in someone and empower someone to improve their quality of life.
Thank you. And so the other thing, the other time ahead of the government, we're saying that between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, we have about $4 billion of the the whole value chain of the cocoa market, but the value is over 100 billion. And if we, let's say, because let's say the world treats us the same anyway. If I walk through the streets of any country with you, they will never know whether you are from Africa or from anywhere. Once you look like me, I think, unless you open your mouth or maybe they see the passport is the same. So and you look at the kind of industries. I mean, the people who own most of these processing manufacturing industries of African raw material. That's where they shifted our mind. Let's say Jamaicans or African Americans put their resources together. Let's set up a processing plant in one of those villages. Because for me, that's where the game is played.
It is played.
And if you were into the processing, the manufacturing of all these resources, then we can change the dynamics. Can you walk us through your program if you're bringing somebody on your tour? Where do you go? Where does it start? If somebody is interested, if somebody watches this video.
Sure. One of the things, and this is through MaximumImpactTravel.com, that's our website. But one of the things I do is with our initial tour is it's like a sampler. I introduce you to the culture. So I don't like throw you into the culture to the point where it's going to scare you. Because remember, I know the mind games that's happened to us. I know us. I know that I think that's the benefit of having someone who's come from that culture coming into this culture. And the reason why I spend so much time in this culture is so I know this culture as well. So I can be a bridge between the two cultures to say, I know what you like to eat. I know what you like to cook. So how can we let's make this work together so that there's this culture shock is minimized and then being able to effectively communicate. So someone comes over, we give them samples of culture, history, in different parts of the culture. So some people are into contemporary culture, we give them that. Some people are into traditional culture, we give them that. History, we take them to dungeons and to Asen Manso, we take them there. And that's just a sample because there's so much more. But we recognize that you can't overwhelm someone in 8 days because if you do, then it's not going to be enjoyable. So we give them just enough for them to want to go home, think about it and say, okay, you know what, I want to come back. Then what I do from a business perspective is take them and connect them with real estate opportunities, just to give them the ability to see what's happening with real estate in Ghana. Then like one lady, she made a particular, it's a organizer. She made it. It's her invention. She has a patent on it. She has all these different things. And I took her to one of the local artisans to be able to actually make this item. So he recreated it, made the item. And so now took her design, made the item for her, and she's going to receive these items and start selling them in mass quantity back in the U.S. And so right there, she said, I want to do this in Africa. I don't want to take this to China. I want to do this in Africa. And I said, okay, cool. Then let me take you to where you can get it done. And let's make it happen. And so, and so I'm serving as a bridge because I'm able to explain to this person, the person who's producing it, this is the benefit for you. I'm able to explain to the person who's looking to make the purchase, this is the benefit for you. And so it's kind of like, that's what I do. All I am is a bridge right now. I'm a bridge over troubled waters. That's an old song in America.
So what we have some minutes to wrap up. So what are the areas that you go to? And when you get there, what do they tell you?
You mean as far as countries in Africa or in Ghana?
Let's say in Ghana, what are the spots that you go to?
Well, of course, we spend time in Accra. Then we do the traditional Accra City tour. And then we go to Kumasi, the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom. We take them there, and they have a naming ceremony. They get a chance to spend some time in the village. They also have a chance to really just kind of see how the folks in Kumasi live. And so that's part of the culture side. And then we'll go to Cape Coast. So those are the three main places, the primary tourist destinations. But for those who look to extend, and we haven't done this yet, but this is what we're adding. We're adding Tamale, and we're adding the Western region. So for someone who really wants to explore, and we were talking about Volta region, and so we're looking at what we can add. That's one of the reasons why I've traveled around to say, okay, would this work? And what would this look like for someone who's coming here and they want to explore Ghana even more? Same thing with any country. We also have tours in Tanzania and Ethiopia. As soon as COVID relaxes a little bit, we're going to add Cote d'Ivoire. We've done Benin and Togo already. So those have been tours that we've done. I would love to add a Sierra Leone component to it, but Sierra Leone is a little bit of a different kind of environment. You kind of have to know. I wouldn't stay there for a week. I would stay there, for a few days because it's a sampler. It's a sampler. Not again, if somebody's looking to immerse themselves into it, then you spend more time on the ground and you work that out. But again, everything we look to do is to introduce the countries, and then from there we can build from there. That's why I'm having a condo built. I'm here in Accra, so I've
You're building.
Well, one of the developers. I signed over with one of the developers, and they're building a condo as a part of a planned community. And I said I wanted to be a part of that, and so looking forward to
in Accra, right?
Yes, in Accra. Yes, so I'm looking forward to being a part of that experience. And I tell everybody my base is going to be Accra. And every place else I go to Accra gives me access to Freetown and Lagos, or Dakar, and Lomé. Or Abidjan. I can get any one of these countries, especially one of the ECOWAS countries, with ease. I'm a dual citizen in Sierra Leone. My ECOWAS passport gets me.
How was that experience?
Oh, it was a wonderful experience because it was almost like a connection back to West Africa. And so that was.
How did you do that? How did you get the?
It was through AfricanAncestry.com. And so my DNA linked directly, one of my genetic lines linked directly to the Temene tribe in Sierra Leone. And so because of that, the government of Sierra Leone it was issuing the citizenship for people who could prove through African ancestry that they are of Sierra Leone descent. And so that's one of the things that I'm going back to Sierra Leone later this year to be able to spend time and be in the culture. I'll probably the two countries I'll probably spend the most time in West Africa will be Sierra Leone and Ghana. I even if I fall in love with Nigeria, I don't know if I'll be spending as much time in Nigeria as I will Sierra Leone, because
Nigerians will take you. They spoil you. By all means.
Oh, yeah.
They will spend a lot of money.
And I got a lot of Nigerian DNA. I have a lot of Nigerian DNA flowing through these things. So
because I'm looking at where you have that courage from, You are more African than most of us. You have been to a lot of African countries. You have a lot of African experiences. And that's amazing.
Wow. I've heard a lot of people say that, and I consider that an honor. And what I hope to do is inspire around the world, the African diaspora. I hope that I recognize I have a unique kind of position that I'm in because of my accent, because of where I come from, because of the ability to articulate and communicate in that particular way. But it's like people can sense that I can get down with some wache in a minute. You give me some Banku.
I saw you with Reggie. That's
right. That's right. So you see how and I love that. I embrace that. And I think people can feel that. They can feel when someone is being sincere. And I'm excited. I want Reggie and Zilla to succeed. If I can contribute any way to that, then I'm playing my part in it. I don't have to make a dime from it. But their success is a part of what I would celebrate. Elikim, and what Elikim is doing in his clothes, and when I bring people over to his shop and I say, hey, and so he's getting the exposure to that world, and now more people are seeing what Elikim is doing. It's kind of like, wow, like a lot of people in the West don't know who Elikim is. So it's like it's not opening up another avenue, and it's just one avenue for many. Who knows where it goes from there? So that's so the mission is being accomplished, to say the least.
Wow. I know you're an entrepreneur as well.
Yes, and that's probably what drives a lot.
Give us some few tips on what you have learned on business. Picking an idea and working it. Few tips. You're an entrepreneur. You're financial.
One of the things that I would say is know your worth. I know my value. I know what I bring to the table. Which in any business venture I get into, and if everyone wherever in Africa understood the value of your land, you don't need anyone else to grow your resources. You have it all. And and that's not just land resources, that is your intellectual resources, that is your hustle resources. You can outwork anybody. You can work in conditions that would kill the average person. And so there's a strength that's within everywhere I've been in Africa, from Sierra Leone to Tanzania. There is a strength and a determination that I see. And once you tap into that and you learn how to produce and use the internet and use the different vehicles to be able to tell your story, people will spend, because, especially the Western world, just like the Western world wants to come exploit Africa, exploit the Western world too. Exploit some of that goodwill that they have. Tell your story and how you working in 100-degree heat and to produce this. And I guarantee you those Westerners will be, oh, we got to send some money over there, and go receive that money. Hear what I'm saying?
That's
Receive
right.
that money. Don't no apologies, and build your homes. Don't sell your homes cheap. Take your land and build on it. Avoid the debt that they're going to try to come with and put on you, where they can come take your land. If you can do that and learn how to work this system, this global economic system, to your advantage, you will find the real wealth is right here on this beautiful continent.
Wow.
So those are my few tips right there. Know your worth.
Wow. And I saw your books as well, the books that you wrote.
The children's books. Yes. The Adventures of Darren and Destiny. That's right. I have a whole series coming out talking about their adventures throughout Africa. I'm gonna need to slow down so I can write some more of these books, because I have so many adventures. I'm gonna have to do 2 Ghana books based upon my last, journey here. So there'll be 2 Darren and Destiny Ghana books, because I've spent so much time here. But Sierra Leone book is coming, Cote d'Ivoire book is coming, of course, Ethiopia, my trip up Mount Kilimanjaro is coming. We have 3 books that are out right now. The first Ghana book, the Safari in Tanzania, and Zanzibar, the book about Zanzibar is out. But we look to have a book about every country I visit. So that if I go to 54 countries, there'll be 54 books. But right now we have 3 that are currently released, and we're looking to have, I would say by the end of the year, another 3 more released by the end of the year. And we have a book about Salvador and Brazil, which is basically Little West Africa in Brazil. Yeah, so
but we hardly see them here.
Because I'm gonna tell you why you won't. You would see them more in Nigeria and in Angola. That's where you would, if you were going to see them. But they have been through the same thing that we've been through. And then the resources, the financial resources. The Afro-Brazilians are the most populous African ethnic group outside of Africa. And it's like 100 million. It's like 100 million Afro-Brazilians, those who are in this mixed, obviously. So you have Brazil, African Portuguese, that's pretty much what it boils down. But the interesting thing, I'm of Portuguese descent, Spanish Portuguese descent. So that's what African ancestry revealed too on my father's line. See, so that I tell people, I said, the African Americans, we could probably claim the world just because of genetics, but because of what happened, it goes to show that this thing was widespread. And so now, you know what, we can't do anything about what happened. Now we can move forward, educate ourselves, learn how to play this global economic system, and empower one another on both sides.
Fantastic. We have a lot of things in common. I know you play the keyboard. I play the keyboard. I know you're an author. I have written 3 business books, actually.
Oh, wow. There you go.
We are into real estate development. And we have retail shops. We make the bags and the shoes as well. You go to the malls, you see MV. Those are ours.
Really?
You go to any of the malls, yes. I do it with my wife, the one who contacted you.
See, I might need to interview you. Hold on, because I'm learning new things right here. Look, I didn't know this. I did not know this. Well, make sure you all send me links and everything that you do. Yes, and then let's set up a time when I get back into the States. Let's set up a time where I can interview you. That's how
Whoa.
we we'll flip this
Wow.
around. I
Wow.
think that
So
would be
we
cool.
will send you some of the things that we do. Pim,
Yes.
we thank you so much. And you have your last word for us, and we wrap it up.
All right. All right. Well, I want to
What
thank
are your last
everyone.
words for us?
Okay. Okay. I want to thank everybody for watching and listening and watching this conversation. And just know that I'm one of the Bibini O'Bronies. This see, I didn't see that coming either.
You know, when they say those things, they also say them for those with mannerism of or light skin. They say it
Oh,
to
I
those
know.
who.
Oh, yeah. I've been well versed on all of it. They schooled me. They educated me too. But I want to learn. And the amazing thing is, I want to learn. I respect the cultures. I recognize what happened to us, and we share the same common challenge across the world. Everybody in America is not rich, and we face the same challenges. And so when you see us and it seems like we're a little on edge, be patient with us because we're learning. And as we're learning, we went through a lot, just like everybody. Just understand if you do encounter someone, don't take it personally. It is what it is. But just know that there are many people out here like me who are trying to bridge this gap. And we do care, we do respect, and we're going to bring these resources here, whether it be emotional, whether it be financial. We're coming back to be able to build these relationships that will transcend generations. So I thank you for your time and watching.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the honor you have done to us. And we appreciate it.
Thank you.
And hopefully we will have another time with you.
Absolutely. We're going to get you on my channel. Don't worry.
Right.
As soon as we're going to make that happen. Like this week sometime.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
All right. Thank you. Bye. So that was Kwabena Berma. Good man, very intelligent. I've watched a lot of his videos and the good works that he's doing for all of us. You know, you can visit, you can go to his channel. His channel is J Cameron Impact. His channel is Impact with Maximum Impact with J Cameron. You will see a lot of videos, and he has done a lot of interviews with the tours that he does, and he's moving not only in Ghana, he's gone through a lot of African countries as well. He's very intelligent, man. Very intelligent. You will love his perspective. You know, go to watch a lot of his old videos where he's teaching and he's breaking a lot of things down. And we need a lot of his kind, you know, because there's one family. If you want our people to do well, we must bring the illumination, and we need thinkers like him. You know, we need thinkers like him who can break things down with a lot of exposure, a lot of expertise, a lot of intellectual abilities, you know, and courage. It's not just the expertise, the courage to try to do something and to build something. So if you join us, you can watch the video. It's a conversation that I had with Kwabena Berma. Very nice, man. So I want to say thank you very much for taking your time to watch this. We will do this another time. Thank you.